It's a problem that's sweeping the nation. After nearly being eradicated in 1967, the mumps are back and seemingly more prominent than ever. Especially when it comes to universities, outbreaks of the illness are once again rampant throughout college campuses nationwide, from Temple University to the College of Charleston to the University of Missouri, to name just a few impacted areas. And it doesn't stop at the mumps. Diseases that were deemed nearly non-existent decades ago are making a resurgence. But why is this the case? Is our human immunity to vaccinations wearing off? Are more members of society and communities simply not receiving vaccines in the first place? Or is there a middle ground between two seemingly polarized perspectives? Often, the spread of disease is analyzed through two differing lenses and populations, widely deemed as the pro-vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers.
Although anti-vax and pro-vax groups are notorious for their staunch dismissal of the other side, what the debate between the two narrows down to is an interpretation of health and the methods that entail in achieving it. Getting lost in science, passion, or belief is easy, but in order to facilitate effective communication on the topic, we need to look upon not just our differences, but also upon our similarities. The value we all strive for is health. We want it for ourselves, our children, and in birthday cards, we even wish our loved ones happiness and health. There is no question that, above all else, we want the best option. How should we then consider different groups' interpretations of health and safety when treating disease? It's simple to dismiss anti-vaxxers and pro-vaxxers because pro-vaxxers build their arguments around the basis of science. Let's get into that science real quick. Vaccines work as a trainer to the immune system that teach it how to recognize and fight pathogens, like viruses or bacteria. Certain molecules from the pathogen, known as antigens, are introduced into the body to trigger an immune response. Through injecting the antigens, the immune system safely learns to recognize hostile invaders, make antibodies, and prepare for the future. Anti-vaxxer opposition is not new, whether from the very genesis when the Anti-Vaccination Society of America was founded in 1879 to the now discredited vaccines cause autism scare in the 90s.
There are many vaccines that are very safe and are very effective, and so they're for different age groups and for different kinds of infections. There's some that require boosters, some that don't require boosters, some that are live virus vaccines, some that are what we call killed vaccines. But vaccines in general are very safe, very effective, and they protect against life-threatening illnesses.
Anti-vax beliefs arise for a variety of reasons. Religious beliefs are cited in opposition, natural remedies are preferred, pharmaceutical companies can't be trusted. The risks outweigh the benefits. Vaccines simply don't work, or even cause autism. The list goes on. Unfortunately, these beliefs are largely proved wrong. The implications of avoiding vaccines can be devastating. A prominent and current example is the reappearance of mumps. The U.S. had more than 1,000 cases of measles in 2019, which was the greatest number of cases reported in the U.S. since 1992, even when measles were eliminated around 2000. But if you're a parent and that one child in 1 million who gets a severe reaction to a vaccine is your one child, sometimes even science isn't enough to convince you.
Ready.
Currently, we're experiencing an era of increasing tension, hesitation, and opposition regarding vaccines in the United States, and we're facing a resurgence of vaccine-preventable illnesses. The debate on vaccination includes several stakeholders, from healthcare providers to vaccine distributors to parents. The main concern of all sides involved in the pro and anti-vaccine debate is the safety of our children. Concerned parents, in particular, represent a majority of those wary of receiving vaccinations. Out of fear, several new parents across the country have chosen to prevent their children from receiving vaccines. The potential of harmful side effects and illnesses is enough to cause several parents to hesitate when considering vaccination for their children. As a result, a growing number of parents are refusing to get their kids vaccinated, according to 2018 data from Blue Cross Blue Shield. This behavior raises the question, to what extent should liberty and parental rights be weighed and considered in regards to vaccines? Growing opposition to vaccination is becoming more visible, as shown by studies such as the Periodic Survey of Fellows conducted by the American Academy of Pediatrics in 2013, which found that 87% of pediatricians encountered parents who refused a vaccine. But how valid should these expressed parental rights remain when state laws can establish vaccination requirements for school children? All 50 states in the United States mandate immunizations for children to enroll in a public school, but various exemptions are available depending on the state. As more and more parents are utilizing these exemptions, researchers are finding that communities in which this increased use of exemptions is prevalent are leading to a loss of herd immunity. So when thinking about the health and safety of the majority, how much should parental decisions weigh in?
As humans, we sometimes get stuck with having tunnel vision. We see what is important for us and what we have to do personally, and forget that other people are so greatly affected by our actions. However, when it comes to the topic of vaccines, should we have to consider other people when making our decision? Is that our responsibility? Obviously, we don't have the ability to regulate everything and control everyone according to our own belief system, but the option on this differs greatly between the pro and anti-vaxxers. The principle of herd immunity is what is most important when considering the two sides of this argument. Herd immunity is the way through which large groups of people are less susceptible to diseases. If a high percentage of the population is immune to a disease through vaccination, it makes it far less likely that the disease can even take foot, let alone spread through the population. This is where the argument of our responsibility to be vaccinated comes into play. A lot of anti-vaxxers think that they will be fine without being vaccinated, as it is very unlikely that a disease could find them because they are protected by all of the healthy people. However, this then creates a problem for the people who are vaccinated. They are carrying the responsibility on their backs, and the individuals who are not vaccinated then put the group at risk by inviting in the vaccine. So there is a level of responsibility when it comes to being vaccinated. There have been multiple cases that illustrate the clash between individual and community when pertaining to the debate on vaccines. Each individual's choice affects not only them, but those around them, which highlights the imperative need for herd immunity when aiming to protect a whole society, not just the individual. At the crew of ensuring much desired well-being for ourselves and others is being informed. Now and going forward, all members of our communities and our nation must educate themselves on their available options and accordingly, how the choices they make impact others. Often, an awareness on various practices, procedures, and protocols can help establish, further solidify, or catalyze change of a viewpoint or set of beliefs. Particularly in regards to vaccination, or the lack thereof, pertinent points span from shots to natural remedies to the illness's effect on communities. There is a lot to be informed of, and in turn, people often jump in onto this discussion, having a very minimal basis of knowledge of differing ideals. Thus, the improved dialogue in the future, and open ourselves up to a healthy flow of discussion and ideas instead of arguing, we must rely on education rather than emotion. When it comes to these embroiled on the ongoing controversy of vaccines, though each side does not have to agree with the other, those debating have to keep humanity and the common goals in mind. In order to truly quell recurring epidemics of once nearly eradicated diseases, the first step for both pro and anti-vaxxers is to bring the forefront of the cause that everyone truly wants and is fighting for, the health and well-being of the American people.